Brand new body camera from the death investigation of Hulk Hogan.
So I'm like, is that Hulk Hogan?
What really happened in the hours before the wrestling legend died?
Said he was doing CPR for 8 minutes. Okay. He was not doing CPR for 8 minutes.
What makes you say that?
Because when I started CPR, I'm the one that broke his ribs.
Now, new claims, new questions, and a body cam trail that offers a closer look at what
On July 24th, 2025, a 911 call was placed from a home in Clearwater, Florida. The dispatch notes logged it as a cardiac arrest. No name, no age, just an address, a medical emergency, and the clock already running. By the time first responders arrived, a man was on the floor of his living room, and someone in the room was claiming they had been performing CPR for 8 minutes. That claim would go unchallenged for exactly as long as it took one paramedic to kneel down and start working. Think about what 8 minutes of proper CPR looks like. It is exhausting, mechanical, relentless. Done correctly, it leaves marks on the person performing it and on the patient. Ribs compress, tissue bruises, the chest changes. 8 minutes of real, effective chest compressions on a large man is not something you walk away from without evidence. And that evidence, or rather the absence of it, is exactly what one first responder documented the moment he took over. If you follow cases where the official account and the physical record start pulling in opposite directions, you are in the right place. This is the Dark Discovery Files, where we let the evidence speak and ask the questions the headlines skip. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. We go where the body cam footage leads.
We just got our hands on a massive body cam file from the death investigation of wrestling legend Hulk Hogan. For months, questions have surrounded the sudden death of the wrestling icon, but now for the first time, we are taking you inside the investigation with hours of newly obtained.
Now, back to Clearwater. The man on that floor was Terry Bollea, known to the world as Hulk Hogan. Wrestling legend, cultural institution, a man whose physical dominance had been one of the defining images of American popular entertainment for 4 decades. By the summer of 2025, that physicality was a memory. According to those caring for him in his final weeks, he was sleeping most of the day.
We didn't even have access to who his real name was. It was just when they first gave us him, it was just high-profile client Clearwater. I didn't know who it was until I pulled up, went to work, and he was the first day I had him, he was in the chair. Okay. And anybody that knows him knows that hair with the ball. So I'm like, is that Hulk Hogan? And the lady was like, yeah, they didn't tell, no, they kept it like very discreet on, because I guess the celebrity factor was very discreet on who we were working for and everything else. So I don't even know why he ended up sick. They never told us what happened. It was just, he had just got out of the hospital and needed home health care.
He had been placed in diapers. He required an elevator to move between floors of his own home. A home health aide who worked 12-hour shifts with him noted that across a full shift, he might be awake and alert for 2 or 3 hours total. He was not recovering. He was declining, and the people around him knew it.
Footage. So, to catch you up to speed, let's go back to July 24th, 2025. Hulk Hogan. His real name was Terry Bollea. He stopped breathing inside his home in Clearwater, Florida. His wife, Sky Daly Hogan, along with an occupational therapist and a home health aide, reportedly performed CPR until first responders arrived. And despite their efforts, Hulk Hogan, the wrestling legend, died. In the days that followed, speculation spread. Did complications from recent neck surgery play a role? How could someone who appeared to be recovering and in good spirits suddenly stop breathing? Now we're breaking down what investigators documented, what first responders witnessed, and what the newly released records reveal about Hulk Hogan's final.
That morning had started quietly. The aide arrived just before 7. Hogan was already awake, sitting in a chair upstairs, preparing to brush his teeth. He went downstairs in the elevator. He ate a yogurt, something his aide noted was unusual, since he did not typically eat breakfast. His wife gave him his morning medication. Then, just before 10 in the morning, an occupational therapist arrived at the house.
I had him 7 to 7, like 7 in the morning to 7 at night that day. I got here around probably like 6:50-ish. I can't remember the girl who I replaced, but he was already up in the bathroom upstairs, sitting in the chair, getting ready to brush his teeth. Okay. I think he died was that a Wednesday? If it was a Wednesday, I had him that Monday, I think, and he was fine.
Okay.
Like he was, I mean, moving slow, but like wasn't nothing like I walked into Wednesday. They said he was in diapers when I got there Wednesday. So I guess I don't know what took place overnight or Monday to Wednesday, but by the time I got there Wednesday, he was in diapers now.
Okay.
So he brushed his teeth, he went downstairs. He didn't normally eat breakfast, so he had a yogurt. I want to say the wife gave him his medicine, his morning medicine, and we set him in a recliner.
Okay.
His name, according to investigators, was Justin McKame. It was only his second visit with Hogan. He had been brought in to work on upper body function, to help a man who had once body-slammed opponents in front of 80,000 people learn how to transfer from a wheelchair to a chair without assistance. The timeline from that point is reconstructed from multiple witness accounts given to investigators in the hours and days following Hogan's death. What all accounts agree on is this. At some point shortly after the therapist arrived, a pulse oximeter was placed on Hogan's finger to check his oxygen levels. No reading came back. The device could not detect a pulse. The aide, drawing on her own medical background from years working in a hospital setting, suggested rubbing his hand to warm the skin, a common technique when circulation is poor. A second attempt. Still nothing. That is when Hogan's wife, Sky Daly Hogan, walked over and said the words that set everything in motion. He was not breathing.
Occupation got there. Occupational therapy got there. They had to order new toilets because I guess his strength wasn't what it normally was.
Okay.
So with us having to order new toilets, I showed occupational therapy, came in, he was breathing. He was breathing when occupational came in. I literally said from probably here to her car is where the distance was from the living room to his office where the bathroom downstairs that he used. I walked occupational therapy into the bathroom to see the new toilet. When we came out, he was like, Terry, I'll be over in a minute to get your vitals. He went over and he was like, I can't get a pulse. And
Terry responded to him when he said that?
no, but he was sleeping. He was sleeping. As soon as I put him in the chair, he went to sleep.
Okay.
So he said, I can't get a pulse on his finger. I also worked at Largo Med, so I was like, sometimes if they cold, you gotta rub it. And so he started rubbing the hand, and he was like, I still can't get a pulse. So that's when me and Sky walked over, and Sky was like, he's not breathing.
Okay.
We called 911.
What followed, according to witness accounts, was an effort to lower Hogan to the floor and begin CPR. The occupational therapist, McKame, reportedly took the lead on chest compressions. By his own account to investigators, he was administering CPR in the minutes before paramedics arrived. He stated he had been doing so for approximately 8 minutes. And here is where the record begins to fracture. When the first paramedic entered that room, he saw a man on the floor beside a recliner. He saw a therapist in scrubs. He heard the claim, 8 minutes of CPR. And then he did what paramedics do. He took over. He placed his hands on that chest. He began compressions. And according to his own statement to investigators, he is the one who broke Hulk Hogan's ribs. That detail is not incidental. It is the entire argument. Properly performed CPR on an adult, and particularly on a large adult male, will, under normal circumstances, result in rib fractures. The American Heart Association acknowledges this. Paramedics are trained to expect it. It is not a sign that something went wrong. It is a sign that compressions were deep enough, fast enough, and sustained enough to actually circulate blood. It is, in the grim arithmetic of resuscitation, proof of effort. When that paramedic said he was the one who broke the ribs, he was not describing an accident. He was describing the moment when real CPR began. So what was happening during those alleged 8 minutes before he arrived? According to the paramedic's statement, either CPR was not being performed at all during that window, or it was being performed so inadequately that it left no physical trace on the patient's chest. Those are the only two conclusions the evidence supports. The paramedic did not soften this in his account to investigators. He stated plainly that the therapist was not doing CPR, or if he was, it was poor CPR. That is a first responder, trained in cardiac resuscitation, looking at the physical condition of a patient and drawing a professional conclusion from what the body told him. The dispatch notes from that morning add another layer. According to one of the paramedics interviewed, radio communications before arrival included a report that the team on scene was having difficulty getting the patient out of the chair and onto the floor. That is significant, because when paramedics arrived, Hogan was already on the floor. The sequence suggested either the chair transfer had just been completed moments before they walked in, or the timeline of events inside that home was more compressed than the 8-minute CPR claim implied. 8 minutes is a long time, long enough to matter enormously in a cardiac arrest. The medical consensus is that brain damage from oxygen deprivation can begin within 4 to 6 minutes of cardiac arrest without effective CPR. If those 8 minutes were not filled with effective chest compressions, then the window in which Hogan might have been truly reached, may have closed before the paramedics ever got through the door. Here is the question that sits at the center of all of this. If the body does not lie, and if the paramedics' physical assessment is accurate, what was actually happening in that room during the minutes before help arrived? Investigators did follow up with McKame twice. The first interview happened in the immediate aftermath, in the driveway outside the house. McKame was emotional, clearly shaken, and in those initial minutes said things that extended well beyond his professional lane. He mentioned damage to the phrenic nerve, a nerve central to the mechanics of breathing, and suggested it may have been injured during a recent surgery. He said he had witnessed a surgery a month or two prior, and that in his view, Hogan had been deteriorating badly since. He told the investigator, with what sounded like genuine sorrow, that he was surprised Hogan had lasted as long as he had. Those comments ignited a separate line of speculation. The phrenic nerve controls the diaphragm.
Why was he not able to walk?
He had that, they severed the phrenic nerve in surgery.
Was that recently? Okay. So he had a back surgery? Or what was it?
It was, honestly, he's had so many surgeries.
Okay.
The phrenic nerve is a nerve that involves respiratory.
Okay.
And if you slice that, which is hard to do, the doctor.
Okay. But so
that's off the record.
The surgery.
So you caught that. The doctor could have screwed up. Now, there was damage to the phrenic nerve, and that could have led to certain complications. And that comment is what led to some speculation that Hulk Hogan's death was caused by...
If that nerve is severed or significantly damaged during a surgical procedure, the consequences for respiratory function can be severe. It does not cause instantaneous death in all cases, but it can contribute to a progressive decline in a patient's ability to breathe effectively, particularly in a patient already managing multiple systemic health issues. McKame appeared to be suggesting, in that raw, unfiltered conversation outside the home, that a surgical error may have set Hogan on a path that ended that morning in a recliner in Clearwater.
I witnessed the surgery a month or two ago. They severed the phrenic nerve. He went into complete system shutdown. Came home, at home health. I'm an occupational therapist, and he didn't look good. I saw him last week one time. That's like dead here. He was breathing. Right all the chest. I was checking out the
Do what? Okay.
he ate very little, a couple of blueberries on this. Was up throughout the night, some medication and sleep, narcotics. And came back to him. I noticed
It is. Yeah, it should be behind that seat.
no rise and fall of the chest. Tried to get pulse, tried to take blood pressure, nothing. She came in, we realized it together, immediately called 911. Got him to the floor, he started compressions. But basically, he was breathing. In any case, when I saw it, I didn't, because he's such a big guy. Yeah. So getting a pulse, getting all that stuff is sometimes difficult. And then when we realized it, obviously we didn't call and get assistance.
But McKame is not a physician. He is an occupational therapist. And when investigators returned to him weeks later to clarify his comments, he walked them back considerably.
I was talking to the boss who just wants one more question. In the video, you talked about how the phrenic nerve, when it gets severed, it's a hard thing to do.
I assume that, yeah.
Oh, you assume that?
It's not really my effort.
Okay, because basically, like, what we're trying to know is like how you knew that nerve. I'm sorry, I'm laying on your car.
Right.
That nerve is a common thing that can be injured during a surgery, and B, like, how did you arrive at that medical conclusion to say that it's hard to do?
No, that was separate.
Okay.
I assumed, I don't know.
But I mean, you're not a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, not at
right?
all.
Right.
Yeah, or cardiac surgery, yeah.
Didn't go to medical school. You had the degree for the occupational therapy and that's it. Nothing beyond that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to keep you.
It's okay. I was also glad to know it was
I understand that.
So, I have gotten in trouble before for talking to him. So.
Okay. Well, I think that should be it. All right. Thank you, sir.
It was interesting, though. Listen to the interview Bubba Losbaum the next couple of days after that.
Oh, I've heard it.
And the guy mentioned the phrenic nerve himself. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it could have been, and this is, and I was like, huh.
I've heard it.
Yeah. So, I shouldn't have said become.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
This is why I'm not a doctor. I just get you stronger. And
He acknowledged he had assumed things he should not have assumed. He admitted his knowledge of the phrenic nerve came from the patient's chart, not from any independent clinical expertise. He said, with some humility, that he had spoken too much and that he was not in a position to draw the medical conclusions he had initially offered. By the time of that second interview, attorneys were apparently involved, and McKame's willingness to elaborate had contracted sharply.
No, and I get it. That's what
Yeah, they're not letting us say, they don't want us to say anything else because
Okay.
evidently I spoke too much already.
That's what they told you?
Yeah.
Your people. Okay.
Well, no, in general. I'm just hearing what's going on in the news.
Your boss also, the lady also said to get their cards.
Oh, yeah, cards.
Okay, yeah,
I got you.
Cool.
Going here.
And this,
Okay.
but this is the CEO of VNA with TGH.
Okay.
So that's the high up. Can't go any higher than that.
Yeah, that's who I tried to call. I just shoot, I didn't get a call back from her, I guess. Somebody else gave it. Your Ann was your supervisor, the DON?
Yes.
She gave me her number.
Shannon's number? Okay.
Yeah, I tried to call. I didn't get a message back.
I did too, because I even called to say, hey, this is what's going down.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's what they're telling you to say, we're not trying to put it.
What remained, after both interviews, was a man who had been present in the room, who had allegedly been performing CPR, and whose account of those minutes did not survive contact with one paramedic's physical assessment of the patient. The official ruling on Hulk Hogan's death was natural causes, cardiac arrest. The Clearwater Police Department ultimately closed the investigation and praised the Hogan family, his widow Skye, his children Nick and Brooke, and legal representation for their cooperation and willingness to provide access to personal information during an extraordinarily difficult time. There was no criminal referral, no finding of wrongdoing. The case, by official measure, is resolved. And yet the body cam footage tells a story that the official ruling does not fully address. It does not tell us that anyone in that room intended harm. It does not suggest malice. But it does suggest a gap between what was claimed and what the physical evidence supported, between the account given to investigators and the condition of the patient as assessed by the first trained medical professional to perform effective resuscitation. That gap may mean nothing. It may mean that someone panicked, attempted CPR with incomplete technique, and convinced themselves they had done more than they had. That happens. Cardiac arrest is terrifying, even for people with medical training.
Never had to write anything or is that?
And that's normal. I mean, have you ever
I
had?
never had this happen.
Okay.
In
So
all
then
my
you're
20 years, I never seen nobody die.
Okay.
Never.
How you doing with it?
I mean, it was crazy
Yeah.
because not just before it was, but I never had that happen to me. I even working in the hospital, I never saw a patient cold. That was all scary to me. Like that was just a lot. And then to go outside and the street was already filled with people, it was just too much.
The mind fills in the blanks. 8 minutes is hard to measure when you are kneeling on someone's floor, watching someone die in front of you. But the gap exists. And in cases like this, gaps matter. They matter because of what was potentially lost in those minutes. They matter because the timeline of effective intervention is the difference between outcomes we will never know and the outcome we do. They matter because a public figure died in front of multiple witnesses, and at least one account of those final minutes does not align with the physical record. The body does not lie. It carries the truth of what was done to it and what was not. And according to one paramedic who knelt on that floor in Clearwater and placed his hands on Terry Bollea's chest, the truth of what happened in those 8 minutes was written in the absence of broken ribs until he arrived. Hogan's passing was ruled natural. The investigation is closed. The Clearwater Police Department has released no further findings. The body cam footage reviewed here was obtained through public records requests and represents the official documentation of interviews conducted during the death investigation. If you want to go deeper on this case, The Clearwater Police Department's Public Records Division holds the full body cam disclosure files. They are accessible under Florida's Public Records Law, Chapter 119 of the Florida Statutes. You can request them directly. Read the paramedic interviews in their original form. Look at the dispatch notes. Look at the timeline. Then ask yourself the question investigators never formally answered. If 8 minutes of CPR were performed before paramedics arrived, where is the evidence in the patient's chest? Leave your answer in the comments. We read every one. If this kind of evidence-first investigation is what you are here for, like this video, share it with someone who asks the questions others stop at, subscribe to the Dark Discovery Files, and turn on notifications. The record is always there. We just have to be willing to read it.